The idyllic peace of Baisaran Meadow was shattered, a serene tourist spot stained with the blood of innocents. On April 22, 2025, terror struck at the heart of Kashmir. 26 lives were brutally cut short, 25 Indians and 1 Nepali national. Their only crime, being Hindu, being in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Eyewitnesses recounted scenes of unimaginable horror. Gunmen, their faces twisted with hate, opened fire indiscriminately. Tourists, families on holiday, ran for their lives, the air filled with screams and the deafening crackle of gunfire. The crystal-clear waters of the stream, once reflecting the beauty of the Himalayas, now ran red with blood. India was quick to react, the government expressing shock and outrage. Prime Minister Modi, his voice heavy with emotion, addressed the nation. "We will not forget," he vowed. "We will not forgive. Those responsible will pay a heavy price." The Pahalgam attack was not just an assault on innocent people, it was an attack on India itself, an attempt to break our spirit, to divide us. But India is not a nation that cowers in fear. We are a nation that fights back. The nation mourned. From the snow-capped peaks of Kashmir to the southern tip of Kanyakumari, a collective grief washed over India. The faces of the victims, filled with life just days ago, now stared back from news channels and newspapers. Each story, a painful reminder of the human cost of terrorism. The families of the victims were left shattered, parents who lost children, children orphaned, spouses left to navigate life alone. Their tears, their pain, resonated throughout the country. The nation shared their grief, their anger, their demand for justice. The attack sent shockwaves across the world. Condemnations poured in from global leaders, expressing solidarity with India. But words were not enough. The time for empty gestures was over. India needed action, decisive and resolute. The Pahalgam attack was a stark reminder of the vulnerability of innocent lives in the face of hate. It was a wake-up call for the world to unite against the scourge of terrorism. For too long, this evil had been allowed to fester, to claim innocent lives. No more. The finger of suspicion quickly pointed towards Pakistan. This was not mere speculation. The evidence was overwhelming. Pakistan had a long and documented history of harboring terrorist groups, using them as proxies in a cowardly shadow war against India. Groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, responsible for countless attacks on Indian soil, operated with impunity within Pakistan. These were not rogue elements. They were nurtured, trained, and armed by the Pakistani establishment. The Pakistani military and intelligence agencies turned a blind eye to their activities, often providing them with logistical support and safe havens. The international community was not oblivious to Pakistan's duplicity. Reports from various intelligence agencies, including those of the United States, had repeatedly highlighted Pakistan's role in supporting terrorism. Yet Pakistan continued to deny any involvement, playing the victim card while simultaneously sheltering the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. Pakistan's denials rang hollow in the ears of the world. The evidence was irrefutable. Their claims of innocence were met with skepticism and condemnation. The world was watching, and it was time for Pakistan to be held accountable for its actions. Section 4. Enough is enough. India's resolve hardens. The Pahalgam attack was a turning point. India had exercised restraint for far too long. We had walked the path of diplomacy, engaging with Pakistan in good faith. But our overtures were met with deceit and continued violence. The time for dialogue was over. The time for action had arrived. India was left with no choice but to respond, to defend its citizens, to protect its sovereignty. The nation stood united in its resolve. We would no longer be held hostage by Pakistan's policy of terrorism. India took swift diplomatic action. The Indus Water Treaty, a symbol of cooperation, was suspended. Pakistani diplomats were expelled. India's message was clear. We will not tolerate terrorism. We will not hesitate to act to protect our interests. The world watched as India prepared to act. The mood was somber, yet there was a steely resolve in the air. India had spoken. The time for words was over. The time for action had begun. Section 5. Operation Sindoor, a line crossed, a message sent. In the early hours of May 7, 2025, India unleashed Operation Sindoor. It was a message loud and clear to the perpetrators of terror and their sponsors, a message that India would no longer tolerate their barbarity. The operation was swift, precise, and devastating. Indian Air Force jets roared into the night sky, their payload aimed at the heart of terror infrastructure in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Targets included training camps, ammunition dumps, and communication centers used by terrorist groups. The strikes were carried out with pinpoint accuracy, minimizing civilian casualties. Among the targets were GEM facilities in Bahawalpur, Liti camps in Muridke, and terrorist hideouts in Kotli and Muzaffarabad. The Indian armed forces, using advanced weaponry like scalp missiles and hammer smart bombs, crippled the operational capabilities of these terror outfits. Operation Sindoor was not an act of aggression, it was an act of self-defense. It was a message that India would not hesitate to cross the line to protect its citizens. The message was delivered, loud and clear. The world was watching, and it was time for Pakistan to face the consequences of its actions.